What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Severe MMA. My name is Sean Sheehan. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by the top prospect in Irish MMA, Conor McCarthy, who fights this weekend at Cage Warriors 194. Conor, how are things? First of all, I call you the top prospect in Irish MMA. Is that something a lot of people have called you? Is that I suppose it's a good thing to be called, but is it a tough thing to be called as well? With I suppose it adds a bit of pressure and things. How do you feel about people saying that about you?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Sean. No, I
Uh,
don't feel any pressure by that, Sean. I just take it as a nice compliment. That's all. A good boost of confidence. But no, yeah, I don't think it adds any pressure.
when you look around, obviously you train with some of the best prospects as well, and you've fought obviously on a lot of the Cage Legacy cards, and now going to Cage Warrior as well and fighting as an amateur. What do you think of the scene at the moment? Obviously, we have the lads in the All Triangle here who do a great job telling us about the scene. But what do you think about like the quality of the lads? Obviously, you being one of them as well. What's your opinion on the scene at the moment?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of young pros coming through. Like the scene seems really booming, especially at amateur as well. Like there's regional shows every second week. Even in our gym, we have a lot of active fighters. So yeah, I think the scene's doing really well. A lot of potential. If you want to fight, if you want to be active, there's a lot of opportunity out there.
Have obviously there isn't that many shows in Ireland at the moment. You were looking, obviously, I suppose, to get on Cage Legacy when they were kind of running. Was that kind of an issue for you coming up? Like, I know getting opponents and stuff, especially when, you're someone like you who has a reputation for being a very good fighter, is always tough. But was that tough for you, kind of getting fights on as an amateur even, but as an early pro?
I didn't struggle to get fights at amateur. Like I was lucky enough. Well, I'll take that back. Towards the end of my amateur career, I definitely did struggle. Like I had 3 fights in my last years fighting as an amateur. So, but to start, I could fight every month or so, and I didn't have any problem getting fights at the start. To answer your question then about pro, I think I came in at a really good time. Like Cage Legacy was having a show every 3-4 months, and they were willing to fly people in. So I think I came in at a good time, but then that kind of fell apart with Cage Legacy going away, and partially the reason I was like really wanted to sign with Cage Wars is because I thought they'd be able to get me like 3 fights a year or something along the lines of that. So I think now that Cage Legacy is gone and maybe there's less kind of frequent professional shows running, it can be harder. I know for even some of the lads in my gym, they might find it a bit more difficult to get a good pro debut compared to when I was turning pro.
Is it difficult because I know like after Conor McGregor came through and the next batch, I suppose, of young guys, maybe a generation before you, were like there was lads with managers as amateurs having money from sponsors and everything like that. What was it like for you coming up? Did you have a lot of people helping you and supporting you in terms of maybe the sponsorship and stuff like that? And I know obviously you have Peter Queally and the great guys in the gym, but did you have a lot of that, like people offering you money to put posts up on Instagram and, and all of that stuff, or was that gone by the time you came around?
Do you mean for amateur, Sean, or for professional?
Well, I suppose a bit of both. Yeah, well, when you get into Cage Warriors, I suppose it changes. But what was it like? I suppose the whole way up.
Yeah, so I've been lucky enough. I've had a really good sponsor as an amateur, and he was able to pay when I wanted to go for like IMAFs or any gear. So shout out to Acrylicon. They've been with me since the start as an amateur. And then once I turned professional, yeah, I got a lot more sponsorships. But in regards to kind of managing and all, Peters just kind of always looked out after me, looked over the fights, and kind of took that kind of stress away from me. So yeah, definitely since I turned pro, there's a lot more kind of, oh, will you put up this? We'll give you a free coffee or something like that. So, stick the logo on the shorts, you get a bit of dollar. But yeah, no, definitely since I turned pro, there's a lot more opportunity.
You can send them sponsorships my way as well, lads. If you want, I'll put a logo up here. I want to ask you about Peter and stuff as well, but I want to go back a little bit further. How did you get into MMA? Did you start young? Did you play other sports when you were younger? What way did you get into mixed martial arts?
Yeah, so I played football for years. And then when I was like 14, 15, I went down to my local boxing gym. Probably stuck at that for around 2 years. Started doing a bit of Muay Thai, and then SBG and Ace opened when I was 17. I was in fifth year, and I was like the first week there. I joined. Like I always wanted to do MMA, but where I'm from in Kildare, there wasn't really much gyms like close. There's like a couple of there's a Muay Thai, there's a boxing, there's a Jiu-Jitsu gym, but there's just no gym to do it under the one roof. Then 2018, I joined when I was 17, just been consistent then.
So you didn't do any martial arts when you were young or anything like taekwondo or anything like that. You started, cold when you were 17.
Sorry, no, I'd done boxing for 2 years
Oh yeah, sorry.
when I was
That
15, and then a tiny bit of like kickboxing, but not
yeah.
much. It was more or less once I joined SBGNA, so I kind of just started my martial art journey.
What do you think of that? Because I suppose that's another thing that's changed in recent years where people kind of, I know you had a bit of experience, but starting at mixed martial arts and maybe, not picking up, how would you say it, like idiosyncrasies from the other sports. Was it good for you to like start immediately, everything I'm learning is for mixed martial arts?
I think so. Yeah, definitely. I think it has its advantages and then maybe disadvantages. Like I always favored striking. Obviously I had done a bit of striking before I'd done jiu-jitsu or anything. So I always favored it. And even when I joined SBG, like I was mainly just doing a lot of striking classes. I started fighting in K1 when I was like 17 for the club. So I definitely did kind of gravitate more towards the striking. But yeah, I definitely think it had its advantages that I was kind of doing them all. I was doing jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and kind of kickboxing from the get-go.
One of the things I'm always fascinated by with young pros coming up and new people getting to mixed martial arts is how they develop their style. Like I remember hearing, soccer players talking before, like let's say someone like Ryan Giggs playing a certain way because of his body type, because of his speed and the way he could move in a certain position. When you talk about like, okay, I'm gonna approach this fight in a certain way, I'm going to approach the next fight in a certain way, I'm going to approach my career in a certain way. Have you kind of sat down and go, this is the sort of fighter I am, this is the sort of fighter I want to be, and this is the sort of way I fight? Or is it kind of like I'm just learning, putting all things together and obviously you want to be a complete mixed martial artist, but like developing your game, developing your, I suppose, your attitude to how you want to fight. Is that a conversations that you've had with Peter Queally and obviously thought about yourself, or what way does that work? Does it kind of naturally come together, or is it like a certain plan?
I'd imagine, yeah, I think so. It comes together kind of naturally. But definitely, I've had them conversations of what I need to improve, and like my goal is to be as well rounded as I can be. Obviously, I will favor striking. I think I know my style. I'm not going to switch my style up. So I know kind of what I can improve on and things I can like level up. If you imagine it's a stat game, like I know some stats are lacking and I need to get them up to par with the rest. So yeah, my goal is just completely just getting better everywhere. Like I think as well, this camp, it's probably been the most kind of period of training where I felt the most improved. I've had nearly 4 months of kind of just consistent training. 2 of those months was outside, say, camp where you're trying to add new skills in as well. And yeah, no, I feel like just month by month trying to get a bit better, trying to add something to my arsenal.
So you're a qualified engineer, isn't that correct? How was that like having your amateur career while studying for a very very tough thing, going through college for what was it, 4 years?
Yeah, oh, it was stressful. It was stressful. Like fight camps. Yeah. I remember one year I had 7 fights within 12 months or 7 fights within the calendar year. And I was going through second and third year of engineering, and anyone who's done the course knows it's heavy, like it's a very busy course. Yeah, it was tough, Sean. But in a way I kind of found an all right balance. Like coming up to exams, my training took a huge hit and it wasn't as consistent. Now it's just like really consistent. But I trained a good rate through college. Like I had to obviously sacrifice the college life. I wasn't partying at all or anything. I was
You
more
missed all the
going
good bits.
straight from the library to the gym. But it all paid off in the end, and I'm glad I stuck it out.
Are like so? Are you working at the moment outside of MMA? Are you full time MMA, or what way are you doing it at the moment?
I'd consider myself full-time MMA, but I work part-time. I work 3 days a week, and I'm actually working for the college. Working with one of my lecturers doing research part-time. So it's actually pretty much, I think, one of the best jobs an athlete could have is in research. It's like kind of you have your certain tasks, you get that done. I can still train in the morning, train in the evening, and just like fit in my hours around that. So yeah, no, I'm very grateful for the position I'm in.
Is that something and I know obviously it'll depend on how everything goes, I suppose. Is that something you continue to plan doing? Let's say in this time next year, you're in the UFC, or you're 2 or 3 fights into the UFC in 2 years' time. Will you still be doing that, or is that a decision you'll have to make down the road?
I'd imagine I won't be continuing this if it's that far on. It's just it's financial as well. Like it's hard at starting off as a young pro to to afford to fight and live this lifestyle. So at the moment, it's just kind of helping me fund my training and like live my life basically. But yeah, I think once I'm in the UFC, and I'll probably sack it off.
Do you find you have more of maybe an analytical and maybe scientific look at mixed martial arts, considering the background you have with engineering? Like, I remember John Kavanagh, who I think had a similar background. He talked about that as well. Even, you know, even myself, I have a degree in maths, and I kind of look at things in a more of like a straight line, maybe than, you know, some people are gardeners and some people are engineers, they say, like, or architects even. Do you find yourself looking at mixed martial arts in a different sort of way, in a more tactical way, in a like it's more of an equation, I suppose, than art?
In some elements, definitely, yeah. Like I think especially like high probability moves, or like even taking risks and all. Like I definitely probably would be like that. Even my last performance against Joshua Nordy wasn't the most exciting fight, but I think I just kind of minimized the risk and kind of played it at a way I just knew I could beat him. Now I'm not thrilled about that performance or that fight in general, and I suppose I could go on a big rant about that, but probably save that for another time. But yeah, I think so. I might see things maybe a bit different than other people see it.
What's the rant about? Go on. I don't want a full rant here, but why would you rant about that fight?
No, I was happy, like especially the first and second round, like, but I just think I could have had a bit more to go in that last round. But I just knew I was beating him at a way, like with my jab, he would never be able to pose any threats for me, and I knew he had to really go for it in that third round, and he was kind of swinging a lot. I just felt like I couldn't really get going. I kind of played it safe relatively. But again, I was still like, I'm not angry about the performance. I just know I could do a lot better. I know I did interviews after, and I was like, oh, I was delighted. I was happy I won. But looking back now, it's not like it was. I think it was like if I degrade it, maybe it would be like a B or something. I know I can do so much better. But there was like my takedown defense. I was really happy with that. But my strike, and I know I probably, especially that third round, could have probably pushed a bit harder. And I was only talking to someone recently, like after that fight, I sat down. I wasn't even that tired. I was annoyed at myself. I felt like I could have emptied the tank a bit more. And this fight, I really don't want to have that feeling. I want to, once I leave that cage, I want to just like give it all. And if I keep such a high volume, I can't see him making the decision. Like I want to be wrecked nearly. If it is to go the 3 rounds, I want to be exhausted that I gave it every single inch.
Is it almost better for you to have a fight like that rather than, let's say, you knock someone out in 20 seconds? There isn't much to really look back on and to improve on and say, I'm going to do this in the next fight to improve on that. Is it almost a godsend to have a fight like that?
I think so, yeah. And like it was a big step up for me. Like it was like on 10 days notice that fight. I was supposed to fight some kind of brawler striker, and then Joshua came in. It was just a pure like kind of grappling kind of specialist. So yeah, no, I think that fight is very valuable for my career, like hugely. And yeah, absolutely. If I had knocked him out within like a minute, I would have got nothing from it. Like I had to stop, like say 10. I think it was roughly like maybe 10 takedowns. There's a lot of grappling had to be switched on, and just going in, being able to share the cage with someone who had like 14 professional fights at the time. Absolutely, yeah.
Do you foresee a fight? Okay, like we talked about styles a minute ago. So, and you said you kind of favor the boxing. Would you be happy if you went in, you took someone down, you dominated them on top, out grappled them for 15 minutes? Like, because some people would answer this, no, I want to strike, I want to have an exciting fight. But would that be kind of perfection for you in a different way? Would you be happy doing that, or do you want a bit of excitement as well? Now, that can be exciting, I know, but I suppose a bit of striking excitement.
That's a good question. And it depends. Like if the grappling, if I was doing things really well, I just want good performances. I want skillful performances. If I just took someone down, I was holding them, it's not really skill. Like if I was doing lots of damage and I had submission attempts, and yeah, it depends, Sean. I feel like depends. I want a bit of excitement. I couldn't really imagine doing that as well. But yeah, I wouldn't rule it out, definitely. Like I've won fights in the past where at amateur as well, which has been a lot of grappling. They haven't been the most exciting fights. But yeah, I'd be happy. A win is the most important thing. And then showing my skill sets the second most.
I don't know if, like, you watched the Chimaev versus Duplessis fight, which is, kind of like what you were saying about the Anwardi fight. I felt like Chimaev found a way to win. And he's like, I'm just going to do this for 5 rounds. And now that's for a UFC title fight, so it's I suppose, a little bit different. But is that the sort of thing you're talking about with the Onwardy fight as well? Like, why take a risk here when I can actually just go and win this fight?
I think, yeah, that's actually a pretty good comparison. Obviously, way higher stakes, but yeah, it's a pretty good comparison. And yeah, and in my head, maybe I was justifying it like this is such a short notice fight as well. I was definitely more like on the risk, like I didn't want to take too much risks because I was just thinking like, and there's a lot of unknowns in that fight. I felt like if I was overcommitting, maybe I'd give him a chance to get into this fight, like get me down. But yeah, there's a lot to learn from. I think like that 15 minutes is gonna serve me very highly in my career.
And what do you think of that, like, experience as well? Because like myself and Graham and the lads in the podcast are always talking about, even like Paddy McCarthy last week. It's like, he's only what 6-7 fights into his career. Imagine what he'll be like 12 fights into your, even for yourself. Imagine what you'll be like 10 fights, 15, 20 fights into your career. And like, and just to we'll move on in a second. I'll ask you about what in the future, but is obviously improving, becoming a better fighter, winning fights is important. But is experience something you think about? And something like you said, 15 minutes there is good for you. It absolutely is. And we've seen that in the past. Is experience something you want to gain? And, before maybe you even go to the next level of the cage warriors title, the UFC, is that something you've talked about and you think I need if I'm going to be the best fighter in the world?
Huge, yeah, absolutely. I think nearly skill development and experience are gone hand in hand. Like the more experienced I am, and if you watch back my fights, even at amateur, like the skill, they're nearly going hand in hand. So absolutely, yeah, I that's one thing I especially want to just with Cage Wars, get as much experience at these fights. I'm in no rush to try go to the Contender Series. I feel like I'm way too inexperienced. I want to get way more fights under my banner, and then start to think about other things first.
So just on the Contender Series that you mentioned, it like we've seen lads, obviously like Paddy McCarthy, we've seen like Lonnie Kavanagh. I think he was only 4 fights into his career or something like that, going to the Contender Series. For you, are you focused on Cage Wars and like that can come? Like, do you have a plan, a date, or a number of fights before you want to go to the Contender Series or the UFC?
I wouldn't say, not really, but I'd imagine like I'm 24 now. Like if I want to be fighting at the like high level when I'm 27, around before 27. So I feel like I have 2 years, whatever it be, of skill development and experience just to gain before I take that jump. And I know like Peter and I we'd have a similar view on that. Like we just want way more experience, just keep building my skill progression. Like if I have another year like I had last year, I know that I'm going to be a way better fighter.
How you mentioned Peter Queally, and obviously we mentioned experience. How big has Peter been for your career to be there from the very start and to be helping you along all the way? It must be massive for you to have someone like that.
Oh, huge. Yeah, huge. Like since I'm 17, probably like when I first came to the gym, like having someone, and Peter was a really active fighter back then as well. He was, it's even before I'd fought amateur MMA, like just have someone like that as a mentor to guide you, like yeah, absolutely invaluable. Yeah, I'm so grateful.
I remember speaking to Peter before, maybe his last fight or the one before that, and asking him about having lads like yourself in the gym, and from the very start teaching the basics and teaching what you need, at 1-0 and 2-0 and all that, and how it helped him. Do you feel like having someone like that who has obviously done it all and can break it down for you from a technical point, I suppose, is absolutely invaluable? And as you said, he was doing it at the time when you were coming up, he was still fighting. To have someone that new, rather than maybe just, I know disrespected him or anything, but there's coaches been around for 20 and 30 years. Do you think like I suppose the young active coach is an advantage for someone like yourself?
Yeah, I think so. Like, yeah, I got to even copy what he does, like even on fight week or whatever, like see what everything that works well for him. And I feel like Pierre as well has been in nearly every scenario and like he has such valuable experience to share. And even when I was young, just seeing like him like finding the tree arena, I was like 17 and seeing my head coach like find the tree arena and all, like it kind of inspired me I want to be part of big fights like that as well. So yeah, like huge, Sean, to answer your question.
There's talk at the moment about, or there was a couple of months ago now about Cage Warriors going back to the tree arena, and you mentioned it there. I suppose, is that a goal of yours? Like maybe to fight in the tree arena, but to headline the tree arena as well, maybe in a Cage Warriors title fight?
Like I'd be lying if I really thought much about that, to be honest. But yeah, I've said since I'm 17, like after even watching like Peter fight when he was in Bellator. I want to fight in the Tree Arena. And it would be amazing to fight there next year. And I remember seeing an interview where Graham Boylan said Cage Wars are going to go back to the Tree Arena. So the fight on that would be very special. But I wouldn't be I'd be lying if I was like fantasizing some lightweight title fight there. But I'm sure that will come if I keep on going the way I'm going.
One more thing before I ask you about your opponent this weekend. Obviously, for a long time in Irish MMA, there has been the discussion about the Cage Warriors route, the UFC route, or one time the Bellator route, now the PFL route. Are you dead set on UFC, or let's say your Cage Warriors contract comes up and PFL come in for you? Is that a conversation you would have, or is it UFC for you?
I think I'd be open to like all options, but the UFC is my main goal. Absolutely. Yeah, like the UFC is what I want to strive towards 100%. But like, I'm not going to be standing here now saying, no, it's UFC or nothing. Like, who knows in 2 years what will happen or what you get offered. But no, the UFC is like what gets me up, gets me to the gym.
That's good to hear. So what do you think your opponent this weekend, Diego Vicenia? Obviously, he's fought to a pretty good level. He's a good record himself, and he's a good next test. Well, haven't watched. First of all, do you watch much tape in him? And if you do, what do you think of him?
Yeah, so I watched as much fights as I could find. I think he's a pretty decent striker. Comes forward, lots of pressure. Maybe more of a boxer. I think it just kind of creates an exciting fight. I think he probably knows enough to get himself in trouble, that he's kind of like more textbook. And yeah, I think it's a really good fight for me. I think I can go out there and beat him anywhere.
I know I kind of mentioned it earlier, but is this the sort of fight maybe the grappling becomes more a part of it? Because we saw his last fight against Jason Blair, and obviously Jason, very, very good wrestler. Obviously that's his MO, I suppose, in every fight, but he was able to take him down and win the fight on the ground. Is that something maybe you look to in this fight, or do you foresee it being a striking match?
I'd imagine more of a striking match, but anything could happen. If he makes a mistake and gives me an opportunity to take him down, I'm going to take him down. But yeah, like I just have that kind of confidence wherever this fight goes, I'm going to beat him. And I think I am more skillful in nearly every department. But I'm not going to go out there shooting on him. But who knows? Who knows what will happen? Whatever the fight goes, I'll just be ready.
When you're preparing for a guy, and I watch a couple of these fights, like everyone in the commentary house says this guy has big power and the big right hand that he throws. And when you're preparing for a guy like that, are you kind of like, I'll implement my game and it will take away that from him? Are you saying I have to take away that, or I have to be wary about that, or I have to avoid that, or maybe it's a bit of both?
Yeah, so like, yeah, I suppose, Sean, yeah, I'm just going to fight him with my game plan and my style. And I think that will start to nullify what his big power is. I'm not going to stand there in front of him. Whatever way I'm going to fight him at range, I think he's going to struggle to let off his big shots. I know where he's good at, and I think I'm going to expose some weaknesses he has, and where this fight goes, I'll be ready.
Conor, I want to really appreciate the time, and I want to ask you one last thing. I keep seeing this Instagram post of if you know, with yourself and Max Lally and different lads passed out in the ground. Can you explain that to us? How do you get into that state, and what's Peter Coelho doing to you to get you in that state on the ground?
Sean, I'm afraid you're going to have to sign up to SPG Nice to find out the truth on that one.
I'm too far away. I'm down in Limerick here.
Yeah, that's I wouldn't even say cardio training, it's mental training on Thursdays. So that's why if you see me having a really good gas tank on Saturday night, you'll know exactly why.
Beautiful. Conor, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I feel like this is going to be the first of many interviews with myself and yourself, because you're going to go a long way. And best luck on Saturday night, but best luck on the journey as well over the next few years.
Thanks a million, Sean. Thanks for having me.